Hello and welcome back. So, time to get this IWC Ingenieur back on its lugs, I would say, not feet. This one is what looks to me in remarkably original condition. I even think the crystal is original on this and might even polish up. Case is very, very sharp and it's either had a factory finish, a refinish, or it's never been polished. I don't think this has ever been polished. And I'm going to leave this exactly as it is. Dial is got a little bit of patina on it, but not bad. We have the original crown. Luminous compound on the other hand, these are notorious for falling off and burning the dial, so I'm definitely going to replace the compound on the hands. And we're going to look at the dial. That looks like it's starting to flake off, and that's what's creating a lot of these spots here, I believe. So I'm not even going to I'm not going to go into the idea of preserving this compound if it's going to damage this watch further. Could preserve it with some compound behind the hands, but after seeing so many IWCs with destroyed dials, and this looks to be a nice original dial, I'm just going to go down the safe route on that. And you may be very unhappy with it, but that's my choice, it's my watch, so that's the way we're going to do it. I did do a unpacking of this watch when it arrived in the workshop, so we did have a quick look, but now we're going to go the full hog and give it a full service. Just look at the beveling on the case back as well, just really, really nice. Here's the inside of the case back. We have the extra lid for the, oh yeah, we gotta open that. It's pretty tight on there. There we go. Extra lid off. And the movement looks actually pretty good. There's something going on. If you look at the hairspring here, that is not very happy. Something is not right here. But what we're going to do, we're going to start by a couple of scratches. No, that's just a bit of some fibers. Nice. That's a really nice scratch-free rotor. But you can see on the balance here, not looking very happy. But we're going to start by cleaning it, and then when we put the shock jewels back in, we're going to see what's the condition of the balance, because this might just be grease dirt stuck within the coils creating this, and if we still have a problem when we put it together, we'll have to reshape that hairspring. We'll figure it out. So the IWC, of course, known for its peloton winding mechanism, same kind of basic principle as Seiko uses in their later watches. There's a you'll find there is a Orient with a very, very similar setup to this, pretty much a copy of the IWC. So if you want your budget IWC peloton, you get an Orient from this time period. Very cool watches. But now we've got an IWC, and the third one that's very similar is the Riverway Rotor King. I do have a service video of one of those as well, and worth checking out. You can see the similarities. The rotating, also very, very nice movement. But yeah, I'm going to start by taking this apart in time lapse, and then we're going to put it back in real time. So, as I've said before, there's no point showing the disassembly and assembly. Well, you could do, but it makes for a very long video, and I find this format is more watchable. So yeah. So the good news is, after fitting the shock protection jewels, the balance is moving very nice and freely. The hairspring is not sticking. So that was dirt on the hairspring, causing that to have a funny looking hairspring. This is all, hairspring is in perfect condition, and the balance is moving nice and freely. There's been some residue I've been cleaning up in between the lettering and so what on the movement. So obviously it's had some water ingress at some point. The bad news is that water ingress has for some reason affected the, well, has made it to the escape wheel, and somebody's been doing some weird stuff to it. The as you can see, the stuff is disconnected from the wheel, and the wheel had glue residue on it, and the wheel is broken. There's nothing, so I can't see here. Yeah, there you go, that sorts it out. The wheel is actually broken, so somebody's glued that back together at some point. The good thing is I have been able to source a new one, and that's been ordered, so that hopefully will arrive tomorrow. And until then, I kind of got to put this to the side, but this has had corrosion on it. It's rusted, it's broken. Somebody has refitted the pinion. I'll probably put this pinion to the side because I can reuse that if I get one with a broken pinion. So that's the situation of the IWC. What I can do is, I'll do that today, is put some new luminous compound on the hands. I've shaked that loose in the ultrasonic, and I've also manually scraped it off the dial. The reason I've done that is that this old compound is really brittle, crumbling, falling over the place, and most likely the reason why you have spots on the dial. Luckily this dial survived pretty well, and it's got a little bit of spotting, but it's an original dial, so I would not want to restore that. I think that still looks very nice. It's going to have a nice presence in the case. I've also ordered a new crystal. I started polishing this one, but then I say it was cracks along the tension ring, so I'd rather have a solid crystal in there. Third thing I've done is the crown had completely dissolved in this. I've managed to scrape out the bits that were in there and fitted a couple of O-rings that now give me nice resistance on the pendant tube, so hopefully that will increase. I wouldn't go swimming with the watch, but it will definitely help it be splash proof, as I like to say, that it resists a little bit of moisture in the atmosphere, and maybe if you're stuck in a rain shower, together with a new crystal and case back. The case has been cleaned. I took the bezel off, cleaned it underneath because you'd sometimes get corrosion under there. This case is remarkably solid. I had one not too long ago, and the case was a lot more corroded than this, so this has survived pretty well. So what I'll do now is I'm going to apply some new luminous compound onto the dial and hands. I'm going to let that dry over until tomorrow, and hopefully we can put the watch together. And as I'm speaking, of course, I've not uploaded the video or anything, but it'd be nice to get this video live, as nice guys to keep you guys updated on what I'm doing. Anyway, on the luminous compound, I'm going to use some Bergeon compound, fill the circles, and of course fill in the hands. So being an older watch, I could see that the color on the dials actually still had quite nice yellow kind of look to it, but the hands had gone all black, crumbly. But what I'm going to go for yellow with a tiny amount of umber in there, just to give it a tiny bit of, little bit of age to it. But I don't want to go too far. I think it's it shouldn't be orange or brown. It should just have be yellow with a tiny hint of browning to it, so maybe just something like that. Just a tiny bit. I think this will look good. Fairly yellow. It's kind of what I had before, so course it will be a bit more yellow on the hands than what it was, but I think that's fair. I'm going to put in the hardener. It reacts with the powder and then hardens when it dries. So mix this together. Have a little bit of umber in there now, so this is not going to be as bright yellow as it normally is. Not yellow, it's kind of a something like that. That'll look quite good when it's dried up. Go a little bit lighter in the colour again. So I'm going to apply this to the hands and the dull. I'm going to do that under the microscope. So applying the compound, you just want to get a little bit into the slot where the aluminum compound is. You don't want any big blobs hanging out on the underside, as that will of course not be good for the hand clearance. Start gently. Got the good consistency now. The viscosity is not too runny, so I can get those dots on without them falling down. I'd rather go 2 rounds getting the thickness I'd like than putting too much on, having it run to happen. So okay, well, I got the new escape wheel, which looks very nice. And with that, I'm going to start putting this base movement back together. With a beautiful perlage decoration all over the base plate. Very nicely done. Put a drop of oil into where the barrel and the center wheel will go. So before fitting the gear train, I'm just going to secure the barrel. So the construction here is that you have the barrel, you have the second wheel, which is the center wheel, and the second wheel drives the third wheel, and the third wheel drives both the fourth wheel and will drive the sweep seconds pinion that will come in later on in the center here. Quite a cool construction. of course, we have the new escape wheel. That looks a heck of a lot better than the remnants of the escape wheel that was in there. I have no idea what's happened to that. Obviously somebody has worked on it or done something, but I'm not going to dwell on it because we got a new escape wheel and we can move on for this movement. So I almost forgot to mention, the third wheel has to be fitted from the top like this and then put in like that. And that is, of course, because this wheel slides in a little groove here, and that's where you're going to put the sweep seconds recorder in the middle here later on. So we've got to put this in here, and then we can put the bridge on as such. So a little bit fiddly, and again I'm going to do this under the microscope to make sure I don't break anything. You get the idea, like so. And we got that bridge in place, which is good, and the gear train's moving freely in there. Still have 3 screws to secure the bridge in place. We have a lot of decoration going on here. Kind of have a circular quarter Genevieve going on the barrel bridge and the escape wheel cock, and we'll have more on that on the auto winder mechanism bridges and the oscillating weight itself. So a lot of decorations going on here. Very, very nicely done. That's secured. Now we can secure the, see there's no slack in the barrel arbor, which is nice. Now we're going to fit, the crown wheel, the winding wheel, comes in here. Give that a nice dollop of oil. Here. The core that goes on top. The core, I can actually clean that up a bit. Sometimes when you put something through the cleaning machine, like this mineral that's covered some parts of this watch, probably from water ingress, I have to remove manually, because I'll see there's a dot here. I'm going to do both in the same go. There we go, that core has now been cleaned up, so we can fit the screw that secures it. Very lucky this watch is in as good condition as it is. It did have the escape wheel issue, and but considering there has been water ingress, everything survived pretty well. There was some corrosion on the underside of the ratchet wheel here, but that's also come up very nicely. Got this little spring here that acts as a ratchet. Probably not the finest way of doing it, but it does make for a flat effect, and Shaco did copy this later on, and you know, it's a nicely machined spring, so nothing wrong with that. Very, very nicely made. I have to say I rate this movement quite highly. The finishing on the ratchet and crown wheel is quite very fine finishing going around, but no beveled edge, no high polishing or anything, but very, very good standard, and with the decoration and the movement and stuff, it all looks very good. Happy with that. We have the gear train is free. It's got no snags, it's moving freely, got a little recoil, that's fantastic. I'm going to oil everything up. I'm going to do that under the microscope. I do have other service videos where you had close-up of the oils in the cups, but in order to save some time, I'm just going to cut through that, and then we're going to put the sweep second pinion in the middle here, fit the winding and setting mechanism, and the date mechanism. So here you can see the sweep second pinion. It has an extra little disc kind of cut out so that the tension spring goes up and pushes that upwards, and that will work as an anti-stuttering mechanism, a little bit of spring. We have the little cover we're going to put on this now. This little cover has two very small screws, so you can hold it down due to the tension and secure these little screws, the screw holes. So there you can see that is screwed in place, and I'm happy with that. No thread went or anything. That's also a little bit scary when things become this small. Now the movement's been turned around. I'm happy to fit the setting and winding mechanism. A little droplet of oil on the center wheel. Then we're going to press the clutch pinion on, so the cannon pinion. And the idea with the cannon pinion is that that has a little bit of a press in the middle that gives friction, just enough so you can manually set the watch without affecting the gear train, and not loose enough for it to not be able to move the hands. So being tight on the center wheel then drives the intermediate hour and hour wheel, and the minute hand is actually fastened onto the cannon pinion itself. You'll see in a moment when we put it together. Now I'm going to fit the winding pinion and the sliding pinion, the stem, and a setting lever to secure it. So the winding pinion comes in here, and I have the sliding pinion. Sliding pinion gets a little bit of grease on the teeth that engage with the winding pinion. And then we put a little bit of grease on the stem where the sliding pinion engages. You can see the square is where the square hole in the sliding pinion goes. We can fit the setting lever. And take the movement off the holder and turn it around, holding this in place here and tightening it. There we go, setting lever in place, nice. Now we're going to fit the yoke. And to fit the yoke, I'm going to put a tiny bit of grease on here and where the yoke engages with the sliding pinion, and also where it engaged with the setting lever. Find any moving part, sliding part, usually benefits from a little bit of grease. Looks good, like so. Remove the tiny fibre that decided to hitchhike onto the yoke, like so. Next, we put a little bit of high viscosity oil on the posts, on the tape wheel here as well, that of the intermediate wheels. So the intermediate wheels come on here. It's intermediate setting wheels. here. Setting lever spring comes in here. Oh, before I fit the setting lever, I auto fit the setting lever spring as well. Like so. It's not the setting lever spring, but the yoke spring. And we've got to make sure that the yoke is engaged nicely into the sliding pinion like so. There we go, and let's pop this setting lever spring on now. Good. I should be able to wind a movement. If you can see the gear train moving, and you'll be able to set the time. Pop this around. Now I'm going to fit the pallet fork and the pallet bridge, and I'm doing that in order to check the resistance of the cannon pinion to make sure that it's tight enough. Gold-plated pallet fork, very fancy. Get that in there. We got the pallet fork bridge. I'm going to again fit this under the microscope because I don't want to break any pivots. Now with the pallet secured, I can see that my clutch pinion is way too loose. There's almost no resistance on this whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the clutch pinion off and tighten it. Clutch pinion, I put it like this, and there will be a little notch in it, and I'm gonna squeeze it a little bit. I'm gonna do that under the microscope because it's quite a controlled operation. That has now been secured and tightened a bit, and it feels a heck of a lot better. Very happy with that. It's got a nice resistance to it, not too hard and definitely not too loose. Here you can see a droplet of oil that I'm dispersing onto the escape wheel. Time to fit the balance, see how that goes. This was a non-runner, as we remember. Oh, that's a good sign, look at that. First indication that it's ticking, I like it. How well is a different story, we're about to find out. From being completely dead to 0.0 beat error, that's good. That's 0 seconds a day. That's good. Let's see where that settles. 295 amplitude, that's good. Okay, so we're losing about half a second a day, I reckon, right now. Let's see where it settles. 0 seconds. Can live with that. Turn it around, see what it does. That's dial up position now. Beat error is looking very good. Timekeeping -1 around 0. Should just have to get time a bit faster. I'll do that later on. It's very, very good. Let's see what it does on the side. Okay, crown down. Wow, look at that. Very good. Do crown up. it all, crown west. Crown east. That's superb. That's very, very good for a watch this age. Very happy with that. It's going to be an excellent timekeeper. Oh, that was really good news. This is keeping really good time. Remember how that hairspring looked before? That was just grease and dirt. So very happy with that. I think it's time to fit the date mechanism, dial, and hands. Let's see how this works. So we have. I'll take this off because this hasn't been secured, but there we go. There's the intermediate hour wheel and also the date driver. Here's a little date driver wheel. There's a spring, tension spring, comes in like this. We have a little securing screw on this. Again, very thin thread, so I've got to be very careful securing this. Everything with small thread, you got to be very gentle in terms of securing it and unscrewing it because it's speaking too much. Focus on the job. Magic, it secured itself. Now I really didn't want to risk breaking it while talking. Anyway, that's in there now. We have this incredibly cool date disc that will come in. Let's have a look at that. That's something else, isn't it? So it will be driven by this inner ring. It's almost like a, looks like the starter gear on an engine. It'll be driven by this little pinion here. And we'll have an outer spring that will provide a bit of tension on it. The date disc comes in here and there's this little bridge that secures it. Very nicely finished screws on the top here. In a disc here, and we have the date wheel that comes on here, and we have the lever that comes on the side here. There. And we have this that comes on the top to hold it all down. So I, for some reason, kind of forgot that. And but now we're back on track. It's doing these videos, you can really get a little bit swallowed in the mix of editing, kind of putting it together, and your mind kind of wanders as you try to talk about things, but with this in place we should get the date working as it should. It's also coming towards the end of the day, and I can feel my brain slowly scrambling in my skull, but I'm determined to get this together today. It's my watch, so I'm, if I do feel overly tired or not concentrated, I will give up and go home and leave it, because you're more likely to do mistakes and damage something. But I'm still good. I'm just slowly coming towards the end of the day. Again, it's my watch. I think I'll get this together. I'd love to wear this today and get this movement finished. There we go. Now, let's try that again. Holding the time. Oh, very nice. We can go backwards, get back a date, forward a date. Very nice and snappy. Look at that. That's beautiful. Very nicely done, IWC. That's what I was expecting. Just have to put it together correctly. Look at that. Very nice. There's no quick set, but it is, you can go backwards, so that kind of helps. To be honest, Rolex did not have a quick set at this time period neither, so I guess we could say that. Whereas Megan and Turner, they were working into that section. Now I'm going to fit the, I'm actually going to fit the auto winding mechanism. Put a droplet of oil where that will be spinning. Nicely jeweled, of course. It goes in there. And we have the little levers here. There's the oscillating weight post. It comes in here. So the oscillating weight has a cam on it that will move these two discs back and forth, and moving back and forth, this will then pull this, literally hook onto these little teeth and drag this wheel around. Very clever mechanism. I've got this little bridge holding the lever in place and the wheel. Can secure this under the microscope. Yeah, that's all put up in the correct position. We have these 3 screws that come in here now. Oh, we're getting very close now. So this can still manually wind, but I find it advisable on these watches not to manually wind these, as you will wear the levers down. This one is in exceptionally good condition, but I've seen these completely worn down. Whereas if you're manually auto winder with the auto winder, it won't wear that way. If you wiggle this back and forth, you can see it will be pulling the intermediate winding wheel. Now that's been fitted, everything seems to be working as it should. I'm happy to fit the dial and hands and case it. I'm going to do all that in time lapse because again, I don't want these videos to be 2 hours long. But we'll do a quick look at it when I'm done and show you the finished product. Movements back in the case. I've dropped a droplet of oil on the oscillating weight rotor post. Here you can see on the underside the cam that will engage with these 2 discs, and that moves the what do we call it, a wig-wag wheel, whatever, the peloton lever that drives the intermediate auto winding wheel that engages with the crown wheel, and then again the ratchet wheel. So we're gonna Very nicely made, of course, with jewels in there. Everything's very nice on this movement. It's a superb movement, these IWCs, I have to say. I don't want to work on worn out ones, but if you get one in good condition like this, they're absolutely lovely. Here we got the last screw with tiny thread again. So we have a few tiny thread screws we've got to watch out for. That holds the that's for the little locking locking piece here. So that's of course moving around. Let's get that secured. Make sure it's in locking position, like so. There we go. You can see how that moved back and forth and wind the movement. Very cool. So to give a summary, what I think of the movement, I think it's very, very cool. I think this is a great automatic movement. It has beautiful micro regulator, like a swan neck going on there with your adjusting screw. Of course, you have the very nice peloton auto winding mechanism, and pretty fantastic decoration on the base plate and the bridges. There's a couple of details here and there which isn't perfect. You could have done a little bit more out of the ratchet wheels and whatnot, but overall great finish on the screws, really good performance, and yeah, cool date change mechanism, pretty good for the time period, fairly snappy, and just overall a really cool movement. And of course in the Ingenieur case we have this extra inner case back. Kind of just snaps on there, the whole concept of it being anti-magnetic, so you reduce the magnetic interference. Screw on case back. Nice, it's all back together and performing fantastically. I think this turned out to be a cracking watch. So it's really good original condition. Yes, it has a little bit of patina on the dial, and yes, there's a few small scratches on the case, but when is the last time you saw used but unpolished and with original dial Ingenieur like this? I'm very happy. You notice the crystal is different. I did replace the original crystal with the magnification. There's cracks on the side, and I thought, you know, I might as well do that. I did look in at getting a crystal with a magnifying lens, but as you can see, it's for a different design because of the date disc is so far in. That wasn't really gonna work. That looked really silly. You see the difference between the original crystal and the generic one here, so no. This watch will be put up for sale because it's well, I guess I need to finance my cars and watch collection one way or another, and that is by letting some of them go once in a while. So I will put this crystal to the side, so if anybody would want the original crystal fitted with the defects, you know, that's possible. But now it has the new case back gaskets in the crown, and a new tension ring crystal. It, you know, I wouldn't go swimming with it, but it's yeah, splash resistant, which is good. It does hold a little bit of pressure in the pressure test. I wouldn't say it's waterproof, but it would. It's a little bit more resistant than what it would have been with a cracked crystal and old gaskets and whatnot. So, fantastic looking watch, really nice and chunky. Nice to have the original fish crown as well. Now I just need to get a nice strap for it, set the time, and yeah, I'm going to wear it a few days to make sure everything runs as it should. and it will probably end up on my website, www.mitka.co.uk. Got the watch on a nice strap, got the time set, got the date right. So today is the 27th of June, and yeah, what a nice watch. It's really looks nice out here in the daylight. Don't know if you can how well it captures on film, but it really does look good in person. I am really happy how this one turned out. Hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, have a good one.